especially as I'm talking to more and more government contractors, we've seen a couple of things. And I love that you started right before the pandemic, because now people are working remotely now more than ever. They're bringing on more and more government contractors because of some of the changes that are going on. And the last couple of weeks have obviously changed quite a bit with projects that are going to be coming in here in 2024. And so tell us some advisement on how people could prepare for this. I mean, obviously they can read up on material, they can do their R&D on it, but if they're looking to schedule out time to get their certification for this, realistically, in your opinion, how much time will that take to be in full compliance to where they need to be with the new requirements?
Are you talking about for CMMC?
Correct.
So I think that they have to start as soon as they possibly can, because what's going to happen is right now there are only 48 of these third-party assessors that can go into organizations and give you the assessment once you're done with, what getting ready, right? Once you're done with your preparation. So there's 300,000 government contractors that are going to be eventually, depending upon when their contracts come due, that are going to need to achieve this. So the supply and demand is those people are just not going to have the availability. The assessors are not going to be available. So if you can get started now so that you can get your assessment done sooner and be an early adopter of this, you're going to be much better off, because the price is going to go through the roof, because it's a supply and demand situation where right now some of those guys, there's a lot of waiting in the wings here, that people are saying, well, I'm not going to do anything until, the rules finalized, which is supposed to be over the next 60 days. But they really should, because there's a lot of basics, whether you call it CMMC or you call it any kind of framework. The basics are figuring out how to protect the data, how to protect the devices, making sure that people are trained. It's all the same thing. It's just called different things. So, and it's also just good business practices too that people need to be thinking of too. It's not just, well, I have to do this because I have to achieve this certification. It's, I need to be protecting my client's information, my proprietary information, all that kind of stuff too. So the answer is to get started ASAP.
Yesterday. Got it. So
Yeah.
as far as you mentioned, 46 assessors, is there opportunity for any type of civilian companies or opportunities to add to that number? Or are these very specific companies or organizations that are only allowed to do it via the government?
No, they're definitely private companies that can go through. They have to actually go through a certification process themselves to make sure that they know what they're doing, that kind of thing. And there are more in the works. There definitely are people and companies right now that just have not achieved getting the official certification yet, that they can then be called. It's a C3PAO is the name of the title. But there are more coming. So yes, it is a private sector business that can go in there and do assessments.
Okay, perfect. And that's kind of why I wanted to ask, because a lot of private sectors don't necessarily do government contracting. And this is something that I've seen a lot of disconnect in. Josh is really starting to get his feet wet in this too. And as we're talking to these companies that want to help both private and government, how do we bridge those gaps? How do we bring people on board? And I appreciate you going into depth on that, because that really gives us an insight as to what the magnitude of this is. Because if you don't have the certification, you're not going to be able to work these projects. And guess what's increasing in 2024? The projects. So
Yep.